today. Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Friday, July 14th, 2023. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread? First card that we are starting our day off with today, sliding out of the deck. This makes sense because this was where we left things yesterday. This was one of the final cards that we pulled yesterday. We've got here our 10 of Cups in its reversal. There's a lot of anxieties and doubts and fears potentially coming through right now. A day to really address some of these concerns as it relates to that long-term goal and long-term path that you're effectively trying to work towards right now. You will notice a lot of the things that we've been seeing over the last few days have been going through any blockages that you're currently experiencing that you may be feeling are causing this moment of difficulty as it relates to building that long-term plan for yourself at this moment. That is why we saw some of that Death card energy in its reversal in combination with our 4 of Wands in its reversal. There is this moment of having to do some self-review right now, particularly around situations and circumstances from the past that didn't necessarily work to your benefit. You may either be working on these right now tangibly in practical space, or these are internal situations and circumstances that you're currently trying to navigate within you to help overcome any internal blockages that you feel are preventing you from being able to move forward on your manifestations at this moment. Second card that we have coming through right now in our 5-card spread is, we have here coming through right now, Devil in its reversal, which we actually love to see because one of the points of orientation that we are really seeing today to help identify is the fact that you're moving very, very fundamentally right now, moving with a lot of purpose and action right now towards healing, towards discovering within yourself unhealthy coping mechanisms, bad modalities of thought, unhealed karmic connections. This is a bit of that clearance energy that we're seeing right now, helping you navigate through any of these internal obstacles that you feel have been preventing you from moving forward on that path to your highest manifestation point at this time. We did recognize over the last few days there have been some points of conflict. There's been some abandonment wounds that have been triggered at this time that have been creating this moment that have been making you have to face some of these internal challenges within yourself at this time. But what we like about today is while you are doing this work, you're having some of this heavy energy coming in right now. We are seeing that you are effectively alchemizing it right now. You are taking that and really looking at what you might need to address and change in your own life to be able to come into a space or place of deeper healing so that you can move with a lot more ease into that positive path that you are trying to set forward for those and yourself and those around you at this point. Center card for today's spread. May I please have our center card for today? We have here coming out right now the 9 of Cups in its reversal. This is difficult work. Why is this difficult work? Because what we really see here is this is that moment of really having to face a lot of your own moments right now as it relates to the unhealthy coping mechanisms, the bad modalities of thoughts, the situations and circumstances that you may be internally creating for yourself that feel like they put you at a disadvantage. We saw this coming through a lot with the feminine energy yesterday, right? Bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what you feel most aligned to. For feminine energy specifically, we saw this coming through right now in a deeper ability to appreciate oneself, even through moments and situations right now that are testing your own boundaries or forcing you to uphold and maintain healthy boundaries as you proceed forward from this point. Thank you so much for the gift. While for masculine energy right now, we saw that this may have some of that energy coming through right now with that lack of confidence. It may have to do right now around some of those plans that you're setting for yourself at this moment. What we like so much for both masculine and feminine energy right now is that you are not externalizing a lot of this work. You're not pushing this work onto other people, onto other situations. That's why it's feeling like it is so difficult and potentially at this time, because what we really see that you're identifying right now is this is going through and really addressing the self-limiting beliefs, the self-limiting practices, the self-limiting habits that you yourself may be maintaining that are blocking your own blessings to a certain extent, so that you can move forward in a space of feeling this degree of worthiness, of coming into this space of appreciation of oneself and what you are trying to build for yourself at this moment that is going to help you fundamentally as you proceed forward from this time. But it is taking a lot of work, because what we're really identifying right now is this is a path of self-healing. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Fourth card that we see coming through right now in our 5-card spread for today is, we've got here the Magician in its reversal. What am I saying right now as it relates to self-limiting doubts, self-limiting beliefs, self-limiting practices? There's a lot of care and orientation right now, both for masculine and feminine energy, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what you feel most aligned to, in really identifying what these internal blockages are at this moment. All for the sake of recognizing that when you experience the internal blockage, it prevents you from being able to truly manifest or move in the degree that you would ideally desire right now towards those long-term plans and those long-term goals that you're setting for yourself at this moment. There is a need right now to heal. There's a whole objective right here that we love to see so much in these cards, which is, and this is that activation point, is not the fact that you might be particularly feeling like this today, but that you're taking that energy and you're putting it into a practical application in looking at what is not working as it relates to your own internal drives right now, as it relates to the bad coping mechanisms or unhealthy modalities of thought, or even the unhealthy karmic connections for you at this moment. All for an effort of healing so that you can move back into a moment where you feel fully capable, fully coming into that point of appreciation of the self to be able to manifest the reality that you are trying to move into at this moment. Final card for today's spread in our 5-card spread before we start getting some clarification on these cards right now. Clarification coming through right now with our 5 of Pentacles. I'm not surprised to see this card, my friends. What brought all of this about? What brought all of these feelings of worthiness coming through, of anxiety about the future coming to the forefront right now? The abandonment wound, the triggering of an abandonment wound. This is the same abandonment wound that we identified coming through yesterday that we saw was having a very different impact on masculine and feminine energy at this time. For feminine energy, this was an abandonment wound recognized, but that you were holding and maintaining healthy boundaries through. But at the same time, what did we see? We saw that it was affecting the feminine energy's feelings of worthiness of self, particularly in the realms of own self-love and the love that they're experiencing from others at this point. While for masculine energy, this was bringing in some feelings of a lack of confidence, even through moments that you are trying to build stability and communication. So what we love to see right now, and I have to point this out because it is not easy energy. You are actively experiencing this abandonment wound coming into play. But what we love to see about this right now is you are not taking this abandonment wound and putting it out onto others. You are allowing it to come into a moment of self-focus, of objective reality, looking at your own self right now, at how you are feeling, and navigating what those internal triggers are that are triggered when you experience that abandonment wound to this extent. But what we love about this is while you are experiencing some of the sensations that abandonment wound might trigger within you at this time, those feelings are doubting your own worthiness, doubting your own abilities, having some of those anxieties and fears for the future coming to the forefront, you're not necessarily letting yourself get triggered by it. Instead, you're observing that itself, that those reactivity points are in fact some of the work that you need to do to heal at this time. That anxiety, that energy that you're experiencing, expressing for yourself at this moment, this is that point of internal reflection to really allow yourself to push past that in an ability to deeper heal and come into a state of deeper healing. Love that for us today. Now let's see if we can get some clarification on what we're seeing in these cards right now. Clarification coming through right now with our 10 of Cups in its reversal, but also the Devil card in its reversal. So having this point of orientation right now, looking at these doubts and these fears rising right now as it relates to the future, as it relates to your own plans, as it relates to your own inability or anxieties about manifesting that desired reality for yourself as you go forward from this point right now. But utilizing that as a point of healing, recognizing that even this self-limiting belief that you're currently experiencing right now may be some of the trigger point that you are working to actively heal at this time. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with Five of Swords. This is allowing a different set of optics as it relates to how you are addressing situations and circumstances or points of conflict that are currently ongoing, or situations and circumstances that you feel are somewhat oriented to the past, situations that may be feeling open-ended that you need to come into a point of resolution for. And what we're really identifying here right now that is so promising and optimistic is the fact that you are recognizing that around some of the situations and circumstances from the past or situations that you are experiencing are somewhat open-ended. You are allowing this optics right now in terms of navigating both, coming into a space of deeper healing, moving in alignment right now with a path that feels like it is most healing for you at this time, versus those self-limiting beliefs, those self-limiting practices that make you effectively feel that you might not necessarily be able to move towards those in the capacity that you would ideally desire at this point. This is that change of outlook. You are utilizing this right now to help you navigate and build closure and resolution around either circumstances that you're currently experiencing at this moment or circumstances from the past that you're trying to achieve closure on at this time. For many of you, this could be allowing yourself to identify that the reason that you're moving away from certain situations and scenarios at this time is that they weren't necessarily leading you to that long-term path, to that long-term goal that you would ideally desire at this point. That is helping you develop that sense of closure because you recognize that this is the healing path that you're setting for yourself at present. While for a lot of you, this could also be identifying right now a point of recognition around some circumstances or scenarios that need to be addressed because you are on this path of healing right now and you are trying to shift your own mentality as it relates to your own sense of optimism as you go forward from this point. This is either, again, a recalibration point or a point of closure for both masculine and feminine energy right now, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what you feel most aligned to. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Devil card in its reversal in combination with our Nine of Cups in its reversal. This is that moment that could be feeling like such a struggle point for all energy right now because there are some feelings coming into play right now around situations and circumstances that you feel like you are at a disadvantage at. They're making you question your value. They're making you question your worth. They're making you put a critical eye on your own abilities at this time. But what we appreciate about this is you're not letting yourself fall into this self-limiting feelings, these self-limiting doubts, these self-limiting fears. You are recognizing that this is the mental practice that you need to work on healing at this time. It is when those situations and circumstances come to the fold that make you doubt your own ability, doubt your own worthiness. That is either the situation or circumstance that is the thing that needs to be healed, or it triggers in you a bad reaction. It triggers in you an unhealthy coping mechanism. It triggers in you an unhealed or unhealthy modality of thought, or even bringing you into unhealthy connections at this time. Recognizing that this is the healing point from which you need to move forward at this time. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Wheel of Fortune in its reversal. This is that working through right now around any of those karmic blockages that you're currently experiencing for both feminine and masculine energy right now. What is bringing these feelings to the forefront right now? There is some doubts and anxiety. We see this coming into play, both with the Wheel of Fortune in its reversal and the 10 of Cups in its reversal. But this is that moment of greater orientation, of greater navigation, and allowing yourself that moment of recognizing that you are effectively moving away, that any situation or circumstances that are causing these situations where you are doubting your own self, doubting your own ability, working right now to actively navigate to come into a state of healing on them right now, is helping you identify and articulate what spaces and places feel that they are most aligned to you at this point versus the spaces and places that you feel might not necessarily be leading you to those long-term path and that long-term goal that you're trying to achieve at this moment. fulfillment. For both masculine and feminine energy right now, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. What we deeply appreciate right now about this moment is this is not a moment that you are taking this on or taking this burden into yourself, saying to yourself, oh, this is something that is a problem with me. This is something that I've done to a certain extent. This is moving right now into a point of deeper healing, not allowing yourself to fall into those bad practices or those unhealthy practices of thinking badly on yourself or thinking down on yourself as you may have in the past, not allowing those trigger points to move you in a state of reactivity, but rather of recognizing that this is more about coming into greater alignment, finding that path that feels most supportive to you as you move forward from this point, and recognizing on a larger level what you experience right now that just feels like it is a karmic hurdle that you are trying to navigate. That karmic hurdle being one within the self right now, around these self-limiting beliefs, around this healing that is required to help you navigate moving forward in the most functional and supportive way possible. But what we love about this idea of support is it's not just that this idea of support is coming externally. This is support that you're creating for yourself internally right now. That is the blockage point that needs to be navigated. There's a lot of self-work coming into play here, which we love to see for both energies. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Nine of Cups in its reversal in combination with our Magician card. These are the self-limiting beliefs that are navigated today. This is the work that needs to be done, and it will be feeling like pretty heavy energy because we see here that there is some moment right now that could be a trigger point that's activated. We have recognized this in the cards over the last few days, but what we appreciate and value about seeing these cards in this combination is there's a moment of recalibration, of identifying your unhealthy coping mechanisms, your bad modalities of thought, the unhealed karmic connections that may put you in this space, all to the effort of finding a way out of this energy, out of these self-limiting beliefs, so that you can truly move forward and manifest your reality from a state of intentionality instead of based on need or anxieties or fears rising to the surface at this time. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now. We love to see this card here. We've got here our Queen of Wands in her upright. So for feminine and masculine, this will feel a little bit different, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what you feel most aligned to. For feminine energy right now, this is that moment of coming into better alignment with oneself. Feminine energy is doing a lot of this work for themselves at this moment. We identified yesterday that feminine energy was moving in a space of trying to maintain, you will call, trying to maintain healthy boundaries, even around situations or circumstances that were making you question your own ability of self-worth or self-love, coming through with that Empress in its reversal. Why is feminine energy now in this space where they're investigating their own triggers and their own practices and their own self-limiting beliefs? Because by coming into a point of building this sense of self-love and remembering your own worthiness right now, feminine, while also maintaining the boundaries that we saw being set with that Queen of Swords, you are coming into a higher point of alignment and activation, coming into this power of our Queen of Wands, being able to move right now with a lot of intentionality and purpose, but not just moving from a place of emotionality, allowing that creative expression, allowing that emotionality to rise to the surface to help you navigate the self-limiting beliefs within you that sometimes block you from being able to maintain this type of energy. Look for a lot of communication with feminine today. Look for a lot of activation. While for masculine energy, what we're really identifying right now is this is either coming through in one of two different ways. For masculine energy right now, this is a moment that either you yourself are experiencing some of these self-limiting beliefs, some of these anxieties, some of these doubts, some of these fears coming to the surface right now. But if you are in union, you are getting the support of this feminine energy that you recognize is working through this right now from a state of higher balance, that is helping you navigate this as they themselves are also navigating it. This is that parity that we would ideally desire to see at this point. While for the masculine energy that is not in union right now, this could be a circumstance or scenario that may be somehow triggered due to a connection right now with the feminine energy that you are recognizing in this place. This could be feeling like more of a difficulty or hurdle that's being navigated. But what we like so much about the masculine energy at this moment is the masculine energy isn't necessarily utilizing this as a point of reactivity. You're utilizing it right now as a point of self-assessment, recognizing your own limited beliefs, recognizing your own doubts, recognizing your own fears, as you have a lot of direction right now towards a feminine energy that you feel is manifesting this ability to maintain a level of composure as you try to navigate and work with them at this time. So for both energies right now, there's a lot of hurdles that are being navigated and worked through. For masculine energy, this could either be feeling like it is being incited or it's being supported by the feminine energy. While for feminine energy, this is identifying a lot of internal work at this time to maintain this level and degree of balance through any doubts or hurdles or fears about the future and your own path. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Magician in its reversal in combination with our Five of Pentacles. These are those abandonment wounds that are being triggered right now for both masculine and feminine energy, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what you feel most aligned to. There's a lot of concentration right now on the abandonment wounds that are being triggered, but also an identification point that when these abandonment wounds are being triggered, it creates a sense of doubt, a sense of fear, not trusting your own abilities, not trusting your own capability in terms of manifesting what you're trying to desire at this point. Working through a lot of this internal trigger that is being activated due to the abandonment wound coming to the surface. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification. Two cards coming out to clarify right now. And here we go. We like to see this. We've got the masculine energy coming up to the surface right now with our Knight of Cups in combination with our Seven of Cups here. This is going to have, we're seeing here, a bit of a different moment for both masculine and feminine energy at this time. Because what we're really identifying right now is as the masculine and feminine energy are both feeling that same moment of self-doubt, feeling that same moment of a trigger being activated, having this be a moment of doing this internal work for themselves. Feminine energy is really standing in their power right now as it relates to articulation, as it relates to their own ability to navigate through these difficulties and hurdles without coming into a point of reactivity, but really focusing on their intentions to help them through any self-limiting beliefs that they're currently experiencing as a result of the situations and circumstances that they are experiencing at this moment. While for masculine energy right now, this is that moment of coming through and offering some kind of emotional communication right now at this time. Masculine energy is putting forth at this time in this way to help navigate their own experiences, because what is masculine energy that's working on their own healing doing at this time? It's not the fact that you are bearing these anxieties, bearing these wounds internally, but instead masculine energy is coming into a point of healing by emotionally expressing what it is that you are feeling right now and your own uncertainties, even in the face of uncertainty. I need to point this out. This is why this is a healing energy for masculine, because this is very difficult. Because what we're really seeing for masculine energy right now, there is something required on this healing journey for you that is requiring you to have to put forth some kind of emotional offer, some type of emotional communication around your own emotionality at this time, but potentially with some anxiety as to how it will be received, or putting forward your emotionality in terms of your own feelings around the uncertainty of what you are experiencing. This is that work that's requiring masculine right now to push through their own doubts, their own fears. For feminine, this is really holding ground. It's going to feel much more like it is a point of activation, of standing in power. While for masculine, this is going to feel like work, not because it requires you to stand in power right now. It's requiring you to take on have some of the qualities of the feminine energy, to be able to come from a point of softness, a point of emotional expression, a point of vulnerability, to allow you to heal through this abandonment wound that is also making you feel the exact same thing that the feminine is feeling around your own doubts and fears at this time. But this is how you are effectively able to navigate it in this space that is going to lead you back into your own sense of empowerment at this time. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Clarification between our Five of Swords in combination with our Wheel of Fortune in its reversal. What are we seeing right here? We are seeing a moment that needs to be addressed around circumstances and situations that you are effectively experiencing some sort of karmic blockage around. This is that moment that is allowing for either a recalibration in terms of your own sense of closure around these experiences, or putting tangible effort into circumstances and situations that you are experiencing an active karmic blockage in right now. All with this attention and degree in building this sense of closure. Now, this closure is one that is either requiring you to go back to circumstances or situations from the past that we identified, if you will recall, over the last few days with the arrival of that Four of Swords in its reversal, or either tangibly go back to create this point of closure or create this point of completion, or doing this work on an internal level for yourself at this time with this point of recalibration internally, looking through at circumstances and situations with different optics to allow you to identify the karmic blockage that you are currently experiencing or experienced in the past at this time. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with, we've got here our Two of Wands. Communication, planning, foresight, being able to see that path forward. Communication potentially coming through right now in either one or two different ways. What we're really identifying right now is this is that moment of either looking right now around situations or circumstances that you are currently feeling like you are having some kind of karmic blockage on right now. You are going back to these right now, and again, either one or two things is happening. Either you are looking at them now with a different perspective that is as I said, is allowing you to build this sense of closure for yourself around these circumstances and situations from the past, based on the healing work that you are doing at thus far. Or for some of you, this is potentially actually putting communication and effort towards some situation or circumstance from the past. Why are you doing that? Because due to your own healing cycle, you now have a different perspective on what potentially went wrong, which is allowing you this ability to communicate forward in these with this change of optics. So as I said, a point of closure coming through right now, a point of addressing that is either recreating internal closure due to a new orientation in terms of your perspective, or active communication on situations and circumstances from the past that are creating these blockages with a different perspective at this time, but all to the effect of deeper healing. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Wheel of Fortune in its reversal in combination with our Queen of Wands energy. Two huge cards coming out into play right now. For feminine and masculine, this will feel a little bit different. For masculine energy right now, this is a moment of, again, looking at potentially, as we mentioned, situations or circumstances from the past or that you're currently experiencing as it relates to potential karmic blockages that you are working through right now, with the combination of a Queen of Wands. How is that going to imply? This is, if you are in union right now, this is working with a feminine energy that you identify as in this space, that you are actively mutually working on to a certain degree to amend and correct for these blockages. While for other parts of the masculine collective right now, this is that point of reorientation, of allowing your own healing to give you more insight as it relates to some karmic blockage that you may be currently actively or in the past past have experienced with a feminine energy that you are identifying is in this ability or has this capacity of communication, of alignment. And this reorientation is also giving you that clarity that you need to identify what the karmic blockage is to a certain extent. While for the other part of the masculine collective right now, this is actively addressing and viewing that hurdle and obstacle right now with the feminine energy that you similarly recognize has this degree and ability to help manage and maintain and move through it as you do so. While for feminine energy right now, this is again a moment that you are coming into deep activation to work through any karmic blockages. What do those karmic blockages look like for the feminine right now? For some of the feminine collective right now, this is that point of closure. This is that point of closure that you are allowing yourself as it relates to past experiences, as it relates to circumstances and situations that you have been feeling have been karmically blocking you. But it is your perspective shift. It is your change in perspective. It is the place that you are standing now in your power that is granting you a differentiation in your objectiveness, in looking at these karmic blockages right now, that is creating a point that either is allowing you to take the steps necessary through these blockages right now, actively, or internally build this point of closure. Because what we're really identifying here is feminine energy is coming into a place of deep communication, but communication from a point of empowerment at this time. May I please have one card to clarify? Whoop. Come on out. It doesn't, it's sticky. Clarification coming through right now with our Two of Pentacles. Now, what did I just say? This is that point of objectiveness, of readdressing, of paying attention to things and viewing them in a different way. Feminine energy right now is doing a lot of this work as it relates to looking at some of the karmic blockages right now. They're putting a lot of active energy into these spaces or places to be able to overcome a lot of these experiences or blockages that they're feeling right now. And it does feel like somewhat overwhelming work. Why is it requiring that? Because it requires feminine to have to take on a lot of energy right now as it relates to balancing a lot of different practical situations and circumstances. This is either going to come through right now as feminine needing to navigate some of those past karmic hurdles that they're trying to unravel or trying to unblock themselves from, while also working in the tangible, practical space right now to overcome any tangible hurdles that they're experiencing around their own worthiness, around their own sense of doubt, around their own fears right now. For feminine energy, this is really going to feel like a lot of energy that you are working to balance right now, because we're seeing here that while the feminine energy is trying to do a lot of work in the practical space right now, you're also trying to build this point of closure or amending any of these unhealed karmic energies that you are feeling currently attached to be able to come through this karmic blockage point. That is requiring you to feel like you're almost operating in two different zones. While for masculine energy right now, this is a moment that you yourself are weighing the circumstances and situations that you currently have at play right now. For masculine energy right now, this, as I said, could be working with a feminine energy that is in this point of activation. You are working together in union, but it is requiring a bit of a balance point, because in a way, what we're seeing with the masculine energy is you're trying to address your own karmic hurdles while also addressing the feminine energy's karmic hurdles. So this could be feeling somewhat overwhelming. But we see here that there is a lot of care and attention to trying to do so at this point. While for the other part of the masculine collective right now, this could be feeling right now like you are in a moment of having to make some very difficult choices or trying to navigate some of the choices that you need to make right now. This could be feeling like there is some feeling of overwhelm that you're currently trying to navigate right now. Because while we see that a lot of your care and attention could be paid or in the direction of a feminine energy that you are recognizing is in this point of communication and activation, you are similarly working through something that could be a present external karmic blockage, and you are trying to navigate between the karmic blockage that you're currently experiencing right now or this feminine energy. Or similarly, for the other part of the masculine energy right now, this could be having to navigate some of this space that you're finding right now that is a result of some of the situations or circumstances that you're trying to move back towards a feminine energy that's in this space with. but also recognizing that it is requiring you to make some of these choices as you go forward from this point. For both masculine and feminine energy right now, this feels like a very difficult balance. It is about trying to find that balance. It's not the fact about putting down something at this point. It's really trying to find a way of coming into this like deeper alignment and understanding. For feminine, this is building a lot of that closure moment for yourself in the past as you move forward right now into the experiences that you're having at the moment. While for masculine, this is potentially weighing what to do or how to navigate both the karmic blockages that you're currently feeling and some of this immediate experience that you're having towards the directionality of a feminine energy that you see is also trying to maintain this sort of balance. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Look at these cards here, my friends. Everybody's doing a lot of work today because what do we have here? We've got our Queen of Wands in its upright in combination with our Knight of Cups, in combination with our Seven of Cups. There are options. There are decisions that need to be made. There are choices that have to be made. There are choices that need to be made. There feels like a bit of a balancing act right now for both masculine and feminine energy right now. Feminine energy is, again, working tangibly right now through an abandonment wound, some of that balancing that they need to do right now, while also trying to determine where to move forward from here, feeling some points of potential confusion that are coming up right now. But feminine energy is really standing in their power right now, utilizing this sense of activation to help navigate them in terms of finding their higher purpose and their goal at this time. While for masculine energy right now, this is that moment that you are also trying to navigate some of that abandonment wound that's coming through. This is also feeling like a bit of a balancing act because you are having to deal with a lot of this practical issue as it relates to what you're navigating. But at the same time, you are also trying to come forward in this emotional expression, potentially, again, working in union right now with feminine energy that you feel is in this space of high communication and activation at this time, but also having to come forward with this emotional expression, to be able to emotionally communicate what you're feeling at this time is very difficult. This is where a lot of that triggering of the abandonment wound is coming from for masculine. This is where that healing is coming through because it's requiring you to be able to emotionally communicate through a trigger that we see typically just moves you away from things as quickly as possible. But for both energies right now, there is some moment of confusion as it relates to that path ahead, where we see some of this 10 of Cups energy coming through and some of that 9 of Cups. There is this point of anxiety that you're currently experiencing at this point as it relates to the path going forward, as it relates to being sure that both for masculine and feminine energy right now, the solution right now will be a lot of conversations about what that higher purpose, what your goals are to make sure that you are in alignment. We're seeing here that a lot of this is coming to the surface for today. While for masculine and feminine energy that is not in alignment right now, this is that moment that is requiring, as I said, some of this degree of internal investigation right now. For feminine energy, it is an internal investigation on what you want to actively put your energy towards at this time. That there may be for the feminine feeling like there's a lot of different things calling your attention or requiring your attention at this time. And this is a moment of doing that internal investigation to make sure that you're moving from a space of intentionality as opposed from moving from a place of having some of that abandonment wound being triggered. While for masculine energy, this is a matter of masculine really trying to understand your own emotions at this time as you navigate some feelings of confusion due to some of this abandonment wound being triggered. For both masculine and feminine energy, all of this is coming through as deep, deep soul searching today. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Page of Cups in its reversal. We do appreciate seeing this card right now because what this really identifies, you know what I like about this? In a way, what we're really seeing right now for masculine and feminine energy right now, the way that you are identifying, this is very funny, I'm sorry. The way that you are identifying what is for you right now may be starting, because there is so much here where it's feeling here like there's something so confusing that both the masculine and feminine are trying to work through it as they're experiencing the abandonment wound right now. The way that you're finding a path forward on this to a certain extent is trying to identify what is not for you. Like, It's like looking at the options available to you and not being certain. For masculine energy, potentially not being certain how you feel. For feminine energy, it's like almost coming through as not being 100% certain where to put your energy at this time. And so this is kind of giving forth, in a way, like a process of elimination, if you will, in terms of trying to decide what isn't where you want to be right now. Where don't you want to go? And so for this is a lot of this unpacking that we're seeing for both the masculine and the feminine energy right now, trying to determine what that higher calling is to you. But again, doing this, this is really showing to a certain extent that this work is unpeeling layers. It's peeling back layers right now for both masculine and feminine, because what we're really identifying is there is a moment that is requiring you to a certain extent to start doing this work, because, and this makes a lot of sense, masculine and feminine energy right now are moving in a space where they're feeling these doubts, they're feeling these fears. They're making it hard to be able to focus on your goal at this time. For the masculine and feminine energy that is in union right now, there could be a lot of clarification right now as it relates to moving with that unified higher purpose, that long-term path, that long-term goal, trying to get that clarity. But it's starting with identifying your own purposes at this time. And this could be a lot of calibration for both masculine and feminine energy, and moving into a space of seriousness to articulate upon what they don't want, to help get to a space of better identifying what they do want. For the masculine and feminine energy right now that is not in union, this is that moment right now of, again, having to have some of this assessment in terms of what you're moving towards right now. For feminine energy right now, we're really seeing that one of the major action points as it relates to the energy that they would desire around them at this time is masculine energy that shows this ability of being able to be emotionally honest, emotionally open, versus any energy they feel might be moving more from a place of serving their own needs and their own purposes. Feminine energy is also using this as a point of orientation right now as they focus on their own long-term path and their long-term goals. This feminine energy doesn't have any room for games, is what we really see. Feminine energy is looking for authenticity and authentic expressions at this time. And they're utilizing that energy to help navigate them through any places of uncertainty as they proceed forward from this point. For masculine energy, there is a moment as well, too, that is requiring a moment, again, as an abandonment wound is being triggered, to kind of look at the situations and circumstances as it relates to what you're trying to express, and trying to potentially, there may even be a need right now for the masculine in recognizing that this abandonment wound is being triggered that requires you to authentically express how you're feeling right now to help navigate, again, some of that blockage, that healthy boundary energy that may have been triggered from the last few days with the feminine that you are either moving away from or moving towards because of the boundary. Recognizing that the way to overcome that obstacle right now is by explaining how it is you truly feel, what it is you truly want, to help the feminine energy not feel like you are in a space that you are just operating for your own needs, your own interests, your own purposes, your own sense of delight and play at this time. For masculine and feminine energy right now, there's a lot of clarity of intention and clarity of purpose coming to the fold. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Two of Wands in combination with our Two of Pentacles. Heavy two energy, a lot of choice today, a lot of duality, a lot of alignment is what we're also really seeing with the masculine and the feminine energy at this time. These energies are going through the same experience at this time. We can see this very clearly here. There's a lot of alignment coming into play, but what we'll notice is that the masculine and feminine energy are navigating it in different ways, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what you feel most aligned to. For both masculine and feminine energy at this moment, this is that moment of utilizing communication and perception to help you navigate and make the choices that you need to make going forward, all for the sake of easement, of balance, in recognizing that there is a degree of work that needs to be maintained here. But the better question is how to maintain that balance. What does that balance look like? The communication coming through today, the action coming through, is all based on getting the clarity of perception to allow for a degree, and the communication to allow for a degree of this balance being able to be maintained between both the energies, but also from a personal level in your own ability to balance your own needs and your own desires and your own goals at this moment. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming right now with our Four of Wands. So this is that optimistic outlook that we're moving towards. Where do we start the day off with, my friends? Where did we start the day off? Uncertainty about the future. Uncertainty on what that future looks like. Uncertainty on what that future holds. We're going to start it here with baby steps is what we're really seeing. For both masculine and feminine energy right now, we're seeing that today is a day that is very heavy on clarification, very heavy on creating balance, very heavy on coming into a state of balance internally. And a lot of this is being done by putting tangible work into setting these plans, setting these expectations, setting these goals and achievements and small milestones for yourself at this moment to help you find that sense of better balance even through a moment that is challenging your own point of confidence around your own abilities to do so. This is masculine and feminine energy taking that bull by the horns to a certain extent and allowing themselves to push forward and build, literally carve that path through your own personal hurdles at this time, to lay down these moments for yourself, to lay down these plans, to build that path of clarification. And it is requiring balance today. It is requiring doing some work, putting some tangible work in to find that point of balance, all for the sake of building this point of clarification as you go forward from this time. And it is allowing for that easement, because that change of perception around circumstances and situations is what is allowing you to come into balance to help build this more optimistic future for yourself as you go forward from this point. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Two of Pentacles in combination with our Page of Cups in its reversal. For both masculine and feminine energy right now, what we're identifying is there is a need and a degree to get more serious about one's intentionality. For masculine and feminine energy, we are seeing right now that this is a lot of that devil energy in its reversal. This is active work right now to heal any unhealthy coping mechanisms, bad modalities of thought, unhealthy or unhealed karmic connections right now. And this is requiring a moment of coming into a deeper degree of seriousness. This is moving away from anything that you feel is frivolous, or moving away from anything that you feel becomes too frivolous, or is moving you or navigating you in a space of distraction at this time. Masculine and feminine energy are moving away from distraction right now to concentrate on building a deeper sense of balance at this moment. For masculine energy, this could be feeling like a lot of personal work that you're doing at this time, navigating through a lot of these hurdles that you're experiencing around your own self-limiting doubts and beliefs that are requiring you to really get more serious around your own care and attention to the self at the moment, to be able to balance some of the obligations that you're currently experiencing at this time, and recognizing that there's some spaces and places that you need to identify and articulate the fact that you are being serious, that you are taking things seriously, that you are in a space of, again, emotional authenticity instead of personal gratification. While for the feminine energy right now, this is a moment that you yourself are working through, balancing and trying to come into a lot of balance through a lot of these triggers that are being hit, through a lot of these abandonment wounds that are being activated, working on this sense of balance for you with a lot of care and attention right now towards the energies that are around you to really identify if they are taking this to the same extent and seriousness that you yourself are right now. Feminine energy is coming through with a lot of boundaries and healthy boundaries because they are very much focusing on what it is that they're trying to manifest. And for the feminine energy, this is requiring a degree of seriousness at this time and wanting to maintain and assure that the energies that are coming towards them at this time similarly recognize that this is a type of balance that needs to be achieved and is similarly able to show that ability of finding balance as opposed to potentially coming in and causing an imbalance with a need or too much direction to one's own sense of self and gratification at this time. May I please have one card to clarify? clarification coming through right now with our Two of Cups in its reversal. This is overcoming any issues or blockages as it relates to partnership at this time. And this is either going to be, again, a moment of reunification or a movement of clearance and separation. This doesn't necessarily need to be around romantic relationships. This could be any partnerships right now that you are experiencing or actively working in right now, looking with a lot of optics in terms of what feels balanced for you at this time, with a degree of seriousness. Not for both masculine and feminine energy. What we're really identifying here is there is a need and goal not to be involved in anything that you feel is effectively wasting your time right now. Because we see here that for both masculine and feminine energy, there's a lot of concentration, not on personal gratification, but what feels balanced, what feels sustainable, what feels like it can be ongoing to a point of perpetuity. For masculine and feminine energy right now, this is addressing any imbalance that either is creating a state that balance does not feel like it can be maintained, with a lot of attention on maintaining and restoring this balance. While for others right now, this could be a moment of potentially needing to move away from any types of partnerships that you feel is not providing this ability of balance in perpetuity, or feels that it is potentially imbalanced because one person is not necessarily, or one party is not necessarily coming towards it with the same degree of seriousness and intentionality as the other. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now as we get to the conclusion of our reading between our Four of Wands in combination with our Two of Cups in its reversal. So for both masculine and feminine energy right now, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what you feel most aligned to, there is a heavy care and attention right now on imbalances in partnership, all to get into a state of better balance. This is, again, for some of the collective right now, this is putting a lot of care and attention and conversation right now in whatever is being felt or experienced as an imbalance, in order to carve out that path of clarity that helps you see what that future is, helps you build towards those short-term goals, those short-term paths, even acknowledging personal self-doubts and anxieties around the long-term future, almost moving away from them and taking away to find the solution point by building at least something that feels sustainable and more balanced in the short term as you move forward from this point, to help build that sense of optimism, to heal this imbalance. While for the other part of the collective, this is effectively potentially a movement away from any partnerships that you feel do not provide these optics, that are not providing this ability to find that balance, that are not providing this ability of being able to create that perpetual feeling of balance back and forth right now, with a recognition that there could be some feelings that energy isn't capable or isn't able to maintain the seriousness required in doing so, but instead moving in a space of building a lot of this clarity for yourself at this moment. May I please have one card to clarify? Final card for today's spread is the Eight of Wands in its reversal. As we said, this is addressing the communication hurdles. This is addressing the communication blockages for masculine and feminine energy right now. For the masculine and feminine energy that are working to heal or restore any of this union energy that they feel is at a point of imbalance, there is a moment right now that is addressing lack of planning, lack of communication, lack of this foresight that needs to be addressed to build better communication bonds, to help build something that feels more optimistic going forward. While for the other half of the collective right now, this could be a moment right now of pulling away from any of this energy that you feel is not providing this ability of finding this sustainable balance, that you don't necessarily see this path forward on today, by withdrawing to a certain extent your own plans, your own communication, in order to focus on building this path for yourself going forward through some of this state of overwhelm that you may be experiencing. Final card for today's spread, bottom of our deck, is Two of Swords in its reversal. There is this moment right now. We've been seeing it coming through right now as it relates to allowing your own sense of intuition to guide you forward at this point, to allowing your intuition and your sense of observation to help you make some of these changes, to help you have these course of action. We do see here that this is going to potentially feel like a bit of a struggle right now, because while activation is needed in a lot of these areas, we're also seeing that for both masculine and feminine energy at this time, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what you feel most aligned to, there are feelings coming through of self-doubt, of self-limiting beliefs, of trying to actively heal at this time and not come from a point of reactivity. As a result of that, there could be some anxieties coming to the forefront in following your own intuition right now, because you're questioning yourself. You're questioning yourself. You're questioning your own abilities, which is thus far questioning your own ability to take action in some areas that may be ready or require action at this time. Why? Because the Magician's in the reversal. Because you're doubting your own ability to do so. But again, we do see here that that may result, I will point out, that may result in a continuation of some of these communication. So as I say that, some of these communication blockages being blocked to a certain extent, because it's not that a lot of this isn't potentially happening on the internal side, but to be able to actually activate it on this, we're seeing that masculine and feminine energy are taking a bit of a moment today to kind of go through a lot of this internally, which may not necessarily lead that to actively being activated today as a result. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and sharing in this reading with me. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. My private readings are done over video with the option of recording sent to you afterwards. And if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber ID at the point of payment. Please keep in mind, if you book a reading with me on my website, it is a two-step process. You have to book the reading and you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever reach out to you for a personal reading. I'm never going to inbox you. I'm never going to PM you. I'm never going to slide into your DMs and tell you that I have a very special message that only I can deliver to you. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So please do it there. I want to thank you so much for having this reading with me today, and thank you for sharing it. And we will do this again tomorrow.